I know the last time we had a ReWilding Community Circle, YouTube didn't work for us and we had to switch over to a different stream. So hopefully, fingers crossed, everything's working. It would be really beautiful if someone could just leave a comment saying, can see you, can hear you, we are so good. We got a lot to talk about today. Thank you so much, Karen. Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Bree. Thank you, Tiffany. Yeah. It's so good to be here with you all. Yeah. I'm just kind of feeling into Shay. Oh my God, I missed you. I didn't know you were going to be here today. Awesome. Inara, hi from Texas. Claire, yes. I think we're going to be a small live circle today. That's my feel. Some of our, I love you, Shay. Some of our notes didn't go out and our emails didn't go out. It is what it is. It's beautiful. It's perfect. April from Michigan, I see you. I think Clarice from Paris. Bridge the Gap from London. This is so great. So we might be small, but we are mighty. All right. Would love for you all to journey through this as a circle, as your space, your time to drop into things. That's what these are for. It's just kind of our way of, I don't know, bringing everything that we're seeing in some of our other circles or different spaces or teachings or in the astrology or in the energy, and just kind of feeling like what would gift this moment in time, what practices, what conversations, I would love to be able to open doors to aha moments. That's my aim today, is find some ways to give us aha moments where you kind of see things from a different angle, or shine a light on something that is right there but maybe hasn't been top of mind, or open a door to something to be revealed over the next couple of weeks. So this conversation today, it's really about this end of December 2022 and headed into 2023. There's this awesome opportunity that I'm witnessing. It's not just I see it in the astrology or I'm feeling it in myself. Both of those are totally true, but I'm also witnessing this in our spaces and witnessing this in a lot of people at the moment. And the thing that I'm witnessing is this opportunity to, really get the most out of this Mars retrograde, if we want to talk astrologically, really get the most out of, let's just make it big top level theme, coming into alignment with higher purposes, coming into our revealing deeper soul callings. Yeah, you're gonna have to bear with me. So there's sometimes, can I just share this with you? There are times when we're on YouTube and I want to create a YouTube video for you and give you all the big bang, zing, woo, here's what's coming in this video at the start. Like, I would love to share with you and say, here's what's coming, this amazing practice, hold out for the 5 steps to get on purpose. And I can't, because the way that these lives work is we all kind of co-create this space together, right? It's this space where we build. I know if you've been on lives before, you'll know, like, the Shakti builds, it builds. I kind of don't like our lives personally until about minute 15, maybe minute 10, when it's like all of the energy starts to stir and, our kind of container here as a live YouTube circle, which is what we are, kind of sets itself solidly. And so I'm going to encourage you to just hang out, like hang in there. And I'm also going to encourage you to watch it from start to finish. The reason for this is it allows the energy to build. It allows the energy to build for you, not just for our space or for the conversation or what we are going to open. For you, it's it's very hard to explain it, but it's like a nervous system shifting, a states of consciousness shifting. And so that's just kind of my little caveat. You will get the most out of this circle if you kind of start from start to finish. So that's what I would love to just sort of prepare us for. Also, in order to get the most out of this conversation, it's a really good idea to come into this with an open heart. And if you want to just take a quick moment and just like breathe your heart open for a second. Breathe your throat open. Breathe this whole front soft body open. It will allow things to touch you in ways that aren't just mental. It'll allow things to, other wisdom centers to be activated. And so just all of us here together in this space, just kind of breathe the front of our bodies open just for a moment, and to go, I'm in sacred space. Or maybe that word doesn't resonate with you. This is me time. And just to feel like, all right, this is me time. All right. Now that I feel like we've done our little intro and our kind of preparation of how to kind of get the most out of this space, I want to weave in a few words. This is maybe our like starting point is these words, and feel into them for yourself. What pops for you, what resonates for you, and let it hit you, right? Let it like zing you. Let the insights land or arise in the way that they do. So you ready? Here's the words. Creative renaissance. So just feel into that, like walking into a creative renaissance. The energetics and the atmosphere support a creative renaissance. And don't put it totally outside of yourself. Like, yeah, that's one way, is let me feel into what does that mean for the world? That's a great, beautiful thing to do. And then like feel, okay, creative renaissance, what does that mean out in the world? Just feel that for a moment. And then feel into, okay, creative renaissance, what does that mean for my career or my desired work in the world? This will be our doorway in, our true work in the world. We'll get to that. This is the building of the energy that I was talking about. So creative renaissance around your career or your work in the world. Now, feel into creative renaissance for myself. Very personally, if I were to have a creative renaissance in myself, just get really intimate with it. Like let the energy of creative renaissance, like just let it kind of permeate your being for a moment. And so it's like, okay, I'm letting the energy of creative renaissance get really intimate and like permeate my being. Like what starts to happen in you? This is a really great embodiment practice, by the way. So you can just, I'll just leave that with you as kind of embodiment practice number 1 for finishing up December 2022 and going into December 2023 or January 2023. And just kind of feel like, okay, if I were to have my own creative renaissance, get really personal about it. And I would love to also share that creative. I want to blow up the term creative really quickly. So let's not put creative on just people who make paintings or people who do dance or people who do music, right? Like we really have to allow our minds to expand around this creative. We create our daily lives. You're creating every moment, every day. You create your home, you create your family, you create, right? You create the flower bouquet on the counter. You create your inner experience. You create your emotional experience of the moment. We are in constant creation. And so just this real quick moment, and take a quick second if you need to like pause and go like, ooh, I was very much just saying I'm not creative, and I was very much just putting that on people who paint or dance or make music. But to let creative, let the word creative be, I create the mundane. I create the next 10 minutes, I'm creating my thoughts, I'm creating my emotion. We are creators. We are beautiful, amazing, glorious creators. But now here's the thing. Feel into this. As this beautiful, glorious creator, and you're gonna go through a renaissance. And let there be optimism and hope and inspiration and joy. That's the energy that we're walking into. That's the energy that's on offer. We might have to turn the dial. Turn the dial just means turn our attention, turn our focus from the negative, right? Or the collective or the whatever kind of energetic influences are coming in. We might have to turn the dial to like the hope and the positivity. And I'm going to encourage you to do that. Do it. That's part of, that's one of the, I'll give a tip, like tip number 1. I'm going to forget all of these numbers, by the way. By the time we get to the end of this, it'll be like 8 number 2s or something like that. But we'll just go tip number 1. When really getting into the energy of the moment, riding this wave of grace. I wrote this tiny little thing on social media, riding this wave of grace and wave of good fortune into the new year. Riding a wave of grace and good fortune into new year. Yeah, even through these crazy holidays and the silly season and all the wildness, it's here, which is why I'm doing this conversation today and this community circle with you all, is because I want you all to have that, like, so badly, and to get the most, and how to ride this wave. So tip number 1, still haven't shared that, have I? Tip number 1 for getting the most and riding this wave is to really shift into optimism, hope, inspiration. Like what I can create, right? Like more of an inspired, I'm gonna take inspired action, and I'm gonna think positively. I'm gonna think big. I'm gonna be around people. I'm gonna be in circles. I'm gonna be in spaces that help to bring more of that energy and more of this can do, more of this look what we have to work with, like look what's possible. These things are possible versus the other energy. So that's tip number 1 for riding this beautiful wave of grace into 2023. Okay, let me feel into, let's go back to feeling into Renaissance. By the way, can you feel this is much more of an experiential journey than a conversation? My aim is that these live circles are very experiential. They're very energetic. They're experiential. It's a little bit more of a workshop kind of a thing than a YouTube video would be, that we put out, a podcast episode that isn't created live. So part of, I'll save that for a moment. I'll share a little bit about ReWilding's creative renaissance at the end, and as a good example, or my own personal creative renaissance, just as an example. I'll talk about that at the end. So hold out if you want like tangible example, or you want like the inside scoop around how this is sort of showing up in my life and in ReWilding, the team space. Okay, so let's come back into our own personal creative renaissance. So practice number 2 would be to journal with that, to sit with that, to meditate with that, to go take that question on a walk in the woods, to just like, I'm in my own creative renaissance. What if for the next 3 weeks, or wherever we're at, 2 weeks, or whenever you watch this video, as we walk into 2023, what if you were to just really hold, I'm in a creative renaissance? Or to me, creative renaissance also has this flavor, and I'll talk about a little astrology in this, because I said I would talk a little bit about astrology predictions, so hold out for that too. Or not predictions, but just what I'm feeling is coming. Is this, in this creative renaissance, this rebirth. So feeling into, possibly you're walking, or you're meditating on this, or you're journaling, or you're having a conversation with some soul friends, and you're feeling into, like, if I were gonna rebirth myself, like I'm gonna rebirth my day, I'm gonna rebirth my week, I'm gonna rebirth my life, I'm gonna rebirth my thought pattern. I'm going to rebirth my mind. I'm going to rebirth my body. So you can add that sort of a flavor into creative renaissance. So if I'm having a creative renaissance, and then I can also add in this rebirth feeling, this rejuvenation, renewal, right? Can you feel that? There's this beautiful new moon happening on the 23rd of December. Solstice is on the 21st. That's a big energetic marker point. We'll talk more about that in upcoming videos. Our new moon video, I'll talk more specifically on that. But just to touch in to this rebirth, renewal energy, and to give you a date. It's a date you could mark down, the 23rd of December, like, new moon, new beginnings, really deepening into this space. Also, Pluto's final, again, I don't want to get too deep into this, but there's a lot of Pluto energy. And Pluto is transformation. Pluto's going to be moving into Aquarius. So I'll just give you this tiny little nugget around astrology of 2023. Come March of 2023, Pluto finally enters Aquarius. Some will say, and I don't know what I believe. I don't believe any. I just think most of these things are just frameworks anyways, and just ways of trying to talk about things. But some people will say that Pluto moving into Aquarius is actually kind of just the tippy-toe start of the age of Aquarius. I don't know. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I like to feel into it for what is true for me. So that's tip number 2. I think we're on practice number 2 and tip number 2. So here's tip number 2 for riding that wave of grace, riding that wave of good fortune into 2023. And it's what? I'm going to get loud, I'm going to swear. So you ready? All right. What the fuck is true for you? Right? And this, can you feel the fire in that? I'm swearing and I'm using that because it ignites something within us that is like a sword of truth. And so that would be tip number 2 for getting the most out of this moment is what is true for me, not what is true for my family or what is true for society or what is true for da-da-da or what is true for that girl on Instagram, right? It's, and this real owning of what is true for me. And so I can hear, I'll give you this example, just feel into this, and you could do it with this video. It's perfect. Everything I'm saying, take it to your own inner fire, that fire of truth, right? Take a sword of truth to it and feel for what is true for you. Everything, all of this ridiculous amount of information coming in at us, predictions this and energy that and news this and blah, blah, blah this and this is crumbling and financial shit over here and political crap over here and America's Pluto return peaks in December, which is what they're saying as well. But to just, okay, that's great. I am going to feel into how this truly, deeply, authentically touches me, right? And what is true for me? What is true for me? And so this is tip number 2, right? To just be so fucking discerning. So discerning, right? So discerning. Do whatever it takes to really deepen into your intuition, your deep, wise self. I had a conversation yesterday in one of our circles, our mystery school circle actually, and it was around, Sabrina, where do you make decisions from if we're working with masculine and feminine, which can be two seemingly dueling energies, right? that are butting heads sometimes. Like the masculine in me wants to do. The feminine in me wants to be, right? Wants to feel, and I just want to be life. And the masculine wants to accomplish a goal. I have a purpose and a mission. I want to accomplish this. And someone asked me this question, and I'll share it here just as maybe this is the one thing in this conversation that really hits you. And this question was so beautiful, and it was, Sabrina, do you feel into that part of self that is your masculine? And then do you then feel into your feminine self, that part of self that is your feminine when you make decisions? How do you, if they're, kind of wanting different things, do you kind of go to one and then go to the other one? And how do you kind of allow all the different parts of self to sort of combine and to come up with the best decision? here's my answer, and feel into this. Like this is helpful for discernment. And I said, I go beyond the archetypes. For me, I go beyond the archetypes. I go beyond masculine and feminine within myself. I go into a place that is deeper, right? To me, we could talk about archetypal energies or the masculine and the feminine, the divine masculine, the divine feminine, all these different parts of self. And I go to a place, we can talk about them as states of consciousness. Like here, lower archetypal realm was a state of consciousness. Upper archetypal realm was a state of consciousness. It's just kind of the framework I teach. But anyways, lower archetypal realm, state of consciousness. Upper archetypal realm, state of consciousness. I go to a state of consciousness beyond them, right? Just feel for you how this resonates. Again, this is about your truth and being so discerning. Like what is true for you and what helps you. And so to go beyond those states of consciousness into a place that is deep, true, wisest soul self. Like the guts of the guts of the guts of the guts of the guts, the core, the core, the core, the core, the core, right? Because I could live a purposeful life from this level. I could, and it would be purposeful, right? The level of lower archetypal realm. I could be discerning from a place of this archetypal realm. But here's the deal. We've got an opportunity to go way deeper, to be way more soulful, to come from a place of even deeper truth. Like, yeah, this place is true. Yes, that's what my masculine wants to do. Yeah, that's what my feminine wants to do. That's true. But there's a truer, deeper place that resides in another state of consciousness, and this is the one that I want guiding my life. These are all helpful for many other things. They're helpful for full expression of self. They're all things. But when it comes to tapping into intuition, which is why I'm sharing this in the first place, this little story about mystery school and this question that came up yesterday, is how do we tap into intuition? How do we get really clear, right? Because here's the thing. There are a lot of things that we could do in this world. There are a lot of things pulling on your attention. There are a lot of things that would be meaningful and that would be fulfilling, right? A lot. But we have X amount of time on this planet. We get to do X amount of things. Right? And maybe you've got the belief system, which I totally respect and honor, and I don't know what I believe around this either, and I don't care, right? Maybe you get to come back and do it again 55 more times. But if we really just go, in this life, I have X amount of time, and I could live a meaningful, purposeful life from this place, or I could go deeper, truer, like as deep as I can get, as soulful as I can get in myself and create a life from that place. Can you feel that? So that's how I'm feeling this creative renaissance, is we get to, and we're supported to, energetically, astrologically, right? And just collectively where the collective consciousness is at. Now, I'm not going to say the majority of the collective consciousness is at, but I think if you're hanging out here, you're probably pushing the edges of consciousness with me, or you're at least curious about it. You're probably like, there's got to be more. There's got to be more. Like, life has to be more fulfilling. There's got to be a way to feel better, or a way to feel more connected to my spirit, or more connected to purpose or meaning or love. There's got to be a way to live my life in a more loving state, right? It's like, and yeah. So to me, part of this creative renaissance and part of what's on offer as we move out of 2022 and into 2023 is like, we've got this opportunity to go deeper in ourselves. Yeah, we've maybe created a really purposeful life. We've maybe done some really great things that were very much in alignment for ourselves. Like, yeah, the life I created was so in alignment and so purposeful and so full of love. But now is a time to revisit that and to really take a hard look at it and to get radically honest about it, because there is something changing in many of us. There's a deeper call coming online. Feel into that for yourself. A deeper call coming online. A deeper calling coming online. You feel the possibility of a new purpose arising. Now, don't get hung up on purpose being some big grandiose, must create a $50 million charity, right? Or must create new business, or must completely revamp all of everything, right? Don't let that trip you up. So that could be tip number 3, right? Don't let blocks of bigness get in the way, right? Let it be, here's a practice we can all do. We'll do practice number 3. I think we're on 3 and 3. Who knows? I said I would lose track of numbers. But if you just go deep into yourself, like if you were to find where is your deepest, most sacred temple space within your body. Go within your body. Deepest, most sacred temple space within your body. Just right now, feel for where it is. And maybe you leave a question, maybe you leave a comment. Like, here's where mine is. I would love to hear. Like, if I go into my body, the deepest, most sacred temple space within my body, it's right here. Just feel for you. And the practice then is when you feel for that, for me, it would be very much in my pelvis, womb, Shay, like I'm with you. It's that for me, that's where it resides. Hara, Dantian is there, sacral is Bree, and my heart is Raven, right? Womb, but you have to feel for you. Again, there is no right or wrong. Get discerning. Here's another great example, sacral, third eye today, heart. Fuck yeah, I love this. Is so beautiful that it's so different, because this gives us an opportunity to do the not comparison thing. So here's tip number 4, right? I know I already kind of gave this one, but we'll spell it out another way, is no comparing. No comparing. You are a unique, beautiful, rainbow unicorn, right? You are unique. You are the only one of your kind, right? The only one of your kind. You are. And your sacred calling is the only one of your kind. It can maybe look a little bit like someone else's, or you can maybe get a little bit of hits from someone else embodying theirs or expressing theirs or embracing theirs, but yours is yours. And the same thing, like when you start to feel into, okay, where is my deepest temple space, my deepest, most sacred temple space, and you go there and you sit there. And you sit there for as long as you need to sit there. Sometimes we need to sit there a long time. Sometimes we just go there right now. Some of you, I know, are here right now and you're like, I'm sitting here and holy shit, that thing I keep dreaming about is actually my new calling and I've been denying it. So feel into that for yourself, because that might be a possibility. Oh my gosh, the thing that I'm feeling and I've been dreaming about or thinking about, or I keep hearing other people say, hey, I kind of see this as a possibility for you. That's what's sitting there. Right? But again, honoring your unique path is your unique path. And just because someone may have gotten an insight right now from their deeper calling, their deep, sacred temple space within, doesn't mean that you were supposed to in this moment. Doesn't mean that that's what the divine timing is for you. Doesn't mean that that's your unique timeline. And so practice number, I don't know, whatever we're on, 4, we'll say 4. Practice number 4 is to go to that place within, that deep sacred place within, and rest there and ask and pray. Like, I'm listening. I am listening for a deeper purpose. I can feel it. I'm listening for a deeper calling. I'm listening. I'm listening for what it is that I'm called to next, what it is that, I don't want to put more words on it because I think that might like start to cloud things. And so being able to be patient, and let me feel for a moment. What can I share in this moment? Here's another thing. I'll share this with you. This is tip or practice. Tip number 5. We'll go with tip. So this is tip number 5 is trust yourself. Trust yourself. Trust your wisdom, right? There is an infinite amount of wisdom in you. There is a light constantly guiding you. There is an inner sacred temple space. There is an inner sacred flame, and it is constantly lighting the way. Constantly. Many of us haven't been taught how to hear it or see it or feel it or live from that place or create from that place, act from that place. Many of us have been taught not to trust that. So just feel for yourself and then feel into, okay, how can I learn to trust myself more? What do I need to do to stop overriding my own deep knowings? We're all guilty of it. We're all human, right? I can tell you a million stories of how I knew better, right? Hindsight's 20/20. I knew better. And a great way, a great practice, we'll say this is practice number, 6, is to do a reflection back and to reflect back of a time or a few times or the thousands of times. No, that'll get a little bit overwhelming, but a few times of when you didn't listen. You knew, you felt it, but you didn't listen. You knew not to do this. You knew to do this. And with compassion, no judgment around it. We're human. We all do it, right? I have some hilarious zinger stories of I knew and I didn't listen, right? And then it all happens. And you're like, holy buckets. I knew better. And but here's the practice. Here's the practice is to go, this is what it felt like in my body. No beating yourself up. No, again, remember back to, I think this was practice number 1, shift to the positive, shift to being inspired, shift to what we are capable of, right? So staying in that mindset, this isn't about wallowing and feeling bad for yourself and beating yourself up all those times that I missed the turn. No. But we go there so that we can excavate the wisdom. That's it. We're just reflecting to excavate the wisdom so that we can learn our markers, so that we know this is what it felt like. For me, personally, it's very physical, right? My brain can do all kinds of things logically, it would make sense to do da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But my belly is not digesting that. Right? My digestion stops and I get a gut ache. That for me. And so, but I know that marker, I know many, many other markers of when a deeper wisdom is talking. And so practice here is to go and really feel, how do I know when it's a deeper wisdom talking? How do I know? What does it feel like for me? Is it very physical for me? Is it emotional for me? Is it a knowing? Do I have a vision? Am I, all the clairs? Is it more clairsentient? Is it more all of those things. But you learn, right? Get to know thyself, right? Greatest path we can take, greatest thing we could ever do. Know thyself, know thyself. Okay, whew. We got an exciting end of 2022 into 2023, right? Just a few little practices and tips for how to get the most out of this. Let me talk a little bit about the astrology supporting this, just to give us a little more mind food and maybe some dates. So maybe if you want to get a piece of paper and a pen out and write down some of these dates, or your phone and take some notes on these dates, I'll give you some dates in kind of December, where you can kind of dial into certain things. All right, so let me scroll through really quickly. I have all kinds of dates all over the stinking place. Okay, so we've already talked about the new moon on the 23rd. That's a great renewal, rejuvenation, right? A creative renaissance. If I'm really in this creative renaissance, what are the seeds I'm planting for the life that I want to live? What are the seeds I'm planting for the life I want to live? When we go into that deep place within, right, like that deep sacred place, and listen for new soul callings or deeper purposes, deeper meanings in life, or deeper ways that we want to be. Let me blow up this really quick perception, is we think purpose is always doing. And I want to call that out. Purpose, sometimes our deepest purpose is our beingness. Yeah, I know. That really blows up the box around, oh, my purpose must look like a business, or it must look like something that fucking makes me money. That one drives me nuts. My purpose must make me money. It must be the thing that brings money in. I want to just scream from the top of my lungs about that one. When did we ever tie purpose to money? That is not all of our karmas. That is not what we all signed up to do. Some, yes. All, no. Right? So can we just stop tying all of these things to it, because we block it. We block it. What if your purpose is just being? Like, what if it is just being the greatest fucking mother on the planet? That is it. That is it, but you judge it and you shame it and you deny it and you don't want it to be that. You think it should be something different, so you block it and you will never get there because you don't think it's valuable enough, or you don't think that that's what a purpose is, or that's what meaning is. And so I'm sharing it so like fiercely, because I just really want to blow up the shame and the judgment and all of the should look like this, must be this if it's going to be a purpose, or if it's going to be meaning in my life, or if that's what's going to create my most love-filled life, must be blah, 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 right? Like, let it be. For me, I'll share a crazy one for you. This is crazy. It's a personal one for me. Right now, my deepest purpose is dragon line. Teach the dragon line. That is my currently deepest, most recent soul calling. Do you want to hear something else fucking insane? I have no idea what that is. I don't know what that is. I don't know. I know that it's to do with this mystery school coming up in January, but I fought this like a crazy. I went so far into, I am not doing mythical sort of energy. I don't know what that is. I'm not prepared enough for that. There's no book. There's nothing for me to lean on. There's no other lineage. There's like creating a lineage. What? I can talk a big game. You've hung out for a little while. I'm all about new spiritual technologies, right? I'm all about pioneering the new, bringing in new spiritual technologies. Like, what is it that most serves this moment right now? Like, no need for the past stuff. I love the past stuff, respect it, revere it. It's brought me to many, many places, right? But it's who are we now and what most serves this moment now? And I don't care what that is, right? Well, it's easy to talk the game. And then you get a dragon in your womb that you're pregnant with, right? This is legit what happened for me. When feeling and just opening up to, okay, what is true? What is my deepest purpose? What is my soul calling now, right? Not what was it last year, because that wasn't there last year. And then and to be okay, to have no judgment around it, or to work through. Here's another tip or practice. Here's a practice and a tip. Let's just say 6. Tip 6, practice 6, I don't know. But to create a space to work through whatever gets kicked up in little self around what you are called deeply to do or be, or to bring into the world, to create. And again, creating doesn't even have to be something tangible. Creating could be a mental state. I'm actually called to just create a very positive mental state. That's what I'm called to do. I'm actually just called to create this really open-hearted, loving way of being in my being all the time. That's what I'm mostly called to do. But when we feel it or we tap into it, to then allow little self, right? That was little Sabrina going, who am I to do that? I'm not ready. I don't know. La, 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 right? To give our little self an opportunity and a space to be seen and to be heard, and to move the energy of doubt, of distrust, of fear, of pain, of whatever through our system, so that our little self, and I'm not just talking inner child. When I say little self, yeah, inner child, but I'm also meaning egoical self, right? False self, anything that's not to do with, because my soul self, it doesn't care. My soul self is like, yeah, let's do this thing, right? It's the little false self that's like, ah! But to create a space so that that false self, that little self, doesn't sabotage, doesn't diminish, doesn't hijack, doesn't prolong things. How many of you can relate? How many of you can relate to that? So, yeah, I have such compassion for this process. This is the space that we've been holding in all of our circles this month. Our mystery circle touched into this. Our priestess training touched into this. Our bone circle, that's totally open to anyone to join now. So if you're like, I would love to have some space held around this and some specific practice to be able to go into my higher purpose. I mean, the workshop's called Rewilding Your Higher Purpose, right? To be able to go and to access this deep sacred space in myself. I would love that. I would love to be held in that, Sabrina. Where do I go and do that? Go into Bones, join our membership, like to get the workshop, right? And then to give ourselves a space to move through what happens when we own it. What happens when we kind of just see it? Like, this is typically the process. We see it, or we tap into it, or we touch it, or we get a feel for it, or we get an inkling for it. Now, here's the crazy thing. Sometimes these things come in, these like creative potentials, they come in and they tap us. How many of you have experienced this? I can raise my hand for this one, like many times over. They come in, they tap you like, hey, potential, possibility, you could birth this. You could be the vessel to bring this into the world. Taps, you hear it and you're like, you do the dance like, nah, I don't know if I'm ready. And then it floats on by. This is what happens to a lot of these potentials, these creative potentials. Floats on by, taps the next person until it gets a yes. Until these like creative, inspired, beautiful things that are ready to be made manifest, until it gets a yes and comes in. So Elizabeth Gilbert, I remember her in one of her books, or it was a podcast or something, she was talking about writing a book. And she was like, this idea for a book came in, tap, 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 tap. Denied, I denied, waited, procrastinated. A couple months later, I saw someone else wrote the book. That's we doing it, right? Like there are so many, I've done this many times where I feel a workshop, right? A workshop coming in, like I don't know what it would be. Like I feel a workshop or a program or a teaching come in, like, ooh. And then I'm like, right? I wait too long, I deny it, whatever. The juice goes. So the juice is gone. I now no longer have the juice. It's gone. It's gone. And then, right, a few months later or a year later or whatever, someone else has written the exact program page that I would have written. Like the exact program description of what I would have written. How many of you has that happened to? That's part of the creative process. It's part of it. But I'm sharing this as a way of inspiring us, not making us even more frozen or like, oh my God, or here's what you don't want to do is get all buzzy about it, like, oh my God, and put pressure. There's no pressure. It's like we go into that deep sacred place within, right? And feel, what is my current soul calling? What is my purpose? What am I, right? What is it? And I don't care what it looks like. No judgment. I don't care. I'm totally curious. I'm like, I don't care what it looks like. It could be a dragon, right? Like, be okay for it to be a dragon or a pooping unicorn, right? I don't know. Like, be okay for it to be a beingness, not a doingness. Be okay for it to not make you money, right? Be okay for it to be whatever it is. Because here's the question. What would you rather have, right? What would you rather have? Something out of alignment that is not soulful, that is not meaningful and not purposeful, but makes you money? Or something that comes from this deep, true, love-filled place that gifts you with so much love and fulfillment and purpose that you can barely stand it. Because that's what's on offer. I'm not saying that the two don't match up. Not saying that they don't. I'm just saying let's blow up all expectations of what comes when we tap into what it is that your soul is longing to do. Because that's what's here. And that's what's going to be here in the new year. Everything, North Node is lit up like a crazy thing, right? North Node, there's Uranus on it, there's Kali, the asteroid on it, all right on the first, right? There's a moon. The moon is there on the first, the moon, all of it is on the North Node. This is a future visions, a soul. These are soul visions, soul callings. That's why I'm inviting us to go to that deep sacred temple space within, because it's soul stuff. It's soul stuff. It's not, what does my ego want to create? It's, what does my soul, what is it that I can't not do? Like, what must I do? It's that. And if you allow yourself to get that passionate about it, it's, I must fight for animal rights. And it doesn't have to be sacred activist, right? I must be a voice for the divine feminine. I must be a light worker who brings light to shadow. I must be, think of yourself, here's another practice number 7, 6, 7, I don't know, I told you we lose track. Think of yourself as a lighthouse. You are a lighthouse, right? You are a lighthouse. It's part of what all of our beautiful soul purposes are, and these deep true callings within is, I'm a lighthouse. Now, when I feel into my soul calling, where am I most called to shine my light? I am a lighthouse. I am a beacon. I am a channel for grace. I am a lighthouse. Where am I most called to shine my light? Like, I heard a woman in one of our circles say, I am most called to shine my light in the medical system. I'm a doctor, and I am most called to be a lighthouse in the medical system. And this sounds outrageous to me. I don't know where to start. I have no idea what kind of impact I'm going to have, but this is just what's here. This is just what's here. Here's another wild thing. I'll share this with you. This comes from a conversation with a very close friend of mine who we have many. She would be one of my soul friends, very dear soul friend who's just a truth-bombing badass of a woman. And we were talking about how when we really hit a purpose, a calling, right? This isn't always true. I'm going to share this with the caveat of you have to feel in for you, as all, like I said, be very discerning and feel for what's true for you. This is just something that I witness in myself, conversation with my beautiful bestie, and what I witness in many, many, many circles when I hold space around soul purpose and deeper meaning in life. I witness this all of the time, but you feel for you. When we really hit it, it inevitably comes with some sort of fear. It inevitably comes with some sort of resistance. Inevitably. And that's kind of a marker for many of us. If it makes me squirmy and nervous, and I feel like that's too big for me, or who am I to do that? That usually means I'm on it. If it comes with no juju, go deeper. If it comes with, and you gotta feel for you. You gotta feel for you like, oh, like dragon for me. For a lot of people, it's very personal. It's because when we hit our own dharma, it feels very personal, right? But for you, you're like, dragon, fuck yes, sister. Like, I've seen you in dragon energy for 3 years. I've legitimately heard people say that to me. Like, what are you talking about? Of course you're teaching the dragon line. Like, obviously, Sabrina. This is what you've grown into. It's part of sacred union. It's what happens when the masculine and the feminine divinity, they meet, the nuclear bomb happens. It's representative of the dragon line. Like, that's the whole thing. That's the whole point. There's a lot of potential there. That's what we're opening up to, obviously, right? I really do feel like that's part of what it is, and that's part of what Mystery School will be. For those of you in Mystery School, I know some of you are already signed up for Mystery School, like, here we go. For those of you who are not, that's happening. It starts January 1st. Anyways, we'll put a link down below, blah, blah, you can feel into that. But it may be outside, like it's not a thing for anybody else, but for me, I know I hit it. I know I hit it. I know I hit it. I know I hit what is my unique genius, what is my greatest, I don't know, greatest way to serve in this moment, greatest way to channel love, the place that I am, let's make it simple, the place that I am most called to shine a light as a lighthouse is there, is on that dragon line, the place I'm most called to shine the light on. I could, now feel into this for yourself, shine a light in many places. My sister just asked me the other day, could you create a program for kids? My nephews, I love. My nieces and nephews, love them, right? I think it would be great to have a rewilding program for kids. I think it's great. I'm not called to go there. My little self would want to do it. My little heart, my human Auntie Sabrina wants to do that. But my deep soul self, that is not what you're here to do, sunshine. That is not what you're here to do. You ain't got no juice for that, right? So just take all of that and really feel into what serves. I mean, this might be a conversation that you come back to many times. I think there's enough goodness in this one. Sometimes I don't leave the lives up, but I think there's enough goodness in this one that we'll leave it up. So feel free to come back. If there's someone you think might benefit from this conversation, share it with them. It would be a great gift to us. Hopefully it's a really great gift to them, and hopefully it's a really great gift to you. Gosh, what can I say about this? Let me feel for a couple practices to leave you with. I was thinking about doing Q&A. I'm not going to do Q&A. I kind of want to just wrap it up here, put a big old bow on this with a few things to think about or practices. I will do more of an astrology report for 2023. I didn't talk a lot about the astrology report, so look out for that. It'll come out on YouTube as our normal episodes, YouTube episodes. If you hit the subscribe button on our channel, you won't miss that video, but that will come out, as well as a new moon for the 23rd video, that'll come out. But let me feel for some things to kind of send you away with. Oh gosh, find space. I know it's the holiday season. I know that it's the silly season. I know that we have a lot on our plates, and there's celebrating, and there's love, and there's so much goodness this time of year. But find some space for yourself. However, you got to get up 20 minutes early to find some space for yourself, right? You got to set some strong boundaries. Like, look, Mom, can you watch the kids? I just need to go for a walk in the woods for an hour. Right? Find whatever you need to do. Find some space for yourself for these practices, or whatever practices resonate for you. For some of this like deep soul space, if it's hard to find space for yourself or hard to guide yourself into some of these places, or you're like, I don't know what practices to do, there's bones. Join us in Living Close to the Bone. Join us in this month's workshop, right? The higher purposes, we go right into it. You get a whole bunch of practices. It's $47 for the month. If you don't love it, you can so totally opt out. No problem. I would love for anyone to have that if it's something that would serve, right? So find some space for yourself, find some practices or some supports or some energetics that will help you, right? Because everything right now is wanting to pull us up surface. It's wanting to pull us up. Like, let's go out and eat food. Let's buy more presents. Let's decorate the house more. Let's do this. And the energetics, the astrology and the energetics are actually opposite to that, right? So it's going to be this like push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull, push, pull. So just being aware of it and maybe setting aside, here's my holiday silly season time, or my mundane daily life time, and here's my deep soul time. Like, here's my time where I'm dedicating to how I can ride. And really, truly, this is a great visual. I'll leave you with this one too as another practice. Hold on to this visual, how I can ride this wave of grace and good fortune, because it's here. It's here. Jupiter's changing signs into air, like whoosh, right? Like that's huge. It's pioneering. It's pushing forward when Jupiter changes signs into Aries. Again, I'll talk about that in the upcoming video for 2023 and probably in the new moon video too. But anyways, feeling into this wave of grace and good fortune and asking yourself like, okay, if I'm going to get on this wave of grace and good fortune and a creative renaissance in my life, what can I do to support that? What can I do? Maybe it's watch this every day for the next 3 weeks. That's a lot of rewild. Like that's a lot of Sabrina time. That's a lot of juice. I think there was a little bit of fire in this one for us all. Yeah, I'll leave you with those things. I just love you all so much. This is what I'll leave you with this. Here's that inside scoop that I promised I would share. I know I shared a little bit about the dragon. That's very personal to me. But this comes from a place of, how do I even start to talk about this? Because it blows my heart up. Our community is so fucking cool. Us here, right? The Facebook group, us here on YouTube, hanging out on videos, right? It's not just the inner circles or the membership circles. It's just like this co-creative capacity that we have, and the love that we all pour, and us just being here together in this space and what we do. And I'm so crazy grateful for it, and feeling as part of creative renaissance into next year. And where am I called, and where is ReWilding called? Because I hold that too, like I hold the team too, and really feel into the essence of ReWilding, and where does that lighthouse want to shine a light? And to me, there's so much around this, like keeping us inspired, keeping us in that alignment, giving us all of this energy, just this space where we can come back to, like, plug back in, tap back into, like, I just need to refuel. It's hard being a lighthouse. It's hard staying soul-centered when the world is egocentric as a motherfucker, right? This shit's hard. And so to me, part of our calling, right, in the new year is to create these spaces and create lives like this and episodes like this and podcasts and YouTube videos like this and even our social media posts like this that are something that you can touch back into and just like, okay, I'm good, I got this. So to me, I would love for ReWilding to be like the refueling station for soul light and soul juju and goodness, right? And inspiration and love. So I think we're just gonna be the refueling station for soul juju. Maybe that's our new tagline for our YouTube channel and all of our social media. I don't know. But anyways, you all inspire that. It's you all inspire that in this co-creative space that we get to be in together. And all of your comments, like all of these comments, I'm seeing all of these comments, and they're just so beautiful, and just love you all so crazy much. If you feel to help us be the refueling station for soul juju, I don't even know what that is. Do it, like share this, invite other people, hang out with us on social media, come hang out in the Facebook group, right? Would love to just give as much soul juju to as many people as we can so we can blow up this current paradigm and get us all into this new amazingness that I feel is possible for us all. All right, I love you all so much. I will see you where I see you, when I see you, and how I see you. Mwah!